going to Nigeria. The President Buhari is coming to Washington just a few days before President Obama leaves. So there is the Nigeria recognition there and the importance of Nigeria for the continent as a whole. But we've seen since last year, the Leaders Summit that President Obama hosted, the power of the US government to convene and to bring attention to opportunities is enormous. So, and even the 12 years I've been doing this kind of U.S. Facilitation of business in the region, the amount of interest at a CEO level and curiosity just because President Obama is engaged is incredible. It really does have resonance outside of Washington.
I'm glad you mentioned Ethiopia because we do, in talking about the region, tend to focus on three major areas. And Nigeria for a huge weight of population, petroleum, an entertainment industry second only to India in terms of filmmaking, some very powerful consumer-driven areas. Kenya for a really unique sort of technology project and its involvement with Uganda and Tanzania to sort of grow those. And South Africa as a international business center. But what about the smaller countries of Africa? How will they be affected, as Africa progresses? Do you get a window on a Rwanda, Cameroon, a Central African Republic? What happens to all these smaller countries in all this, you think?
Well, there's some ripple effect, and it depends on how these countries structure themselves and put themselves in an advantage to take advantage of some of these cross-cutting trends. We have this, Aubrey already touched on this, we have this convergence-divergence theory where we're not at all saying that every country in Africa is going to become a global powerhouse. Some countries are going to lag behind. But one thing that we definitely think, and some of these structures are already moving forward, and this is not just in socioeconomic terms, but also in terms of Africa's governance structure, both macro and at the government level, is for some of these countries that still have problems, and this is another key part of our book thesis, it's going to be less external aid agencies dealing with these problems and being seen as the sole people responsible for helping the nations that are lagging behind. And it's going to be more and more African philanthropists and structures that are coming through African states and coordinated structures that are coming through the African Union. And some of that's already shaping up now. Even Rwanda has its own development authority, and they do things themselves that used to be the domain of NGOs. So those countries, I think there's going to be more African involvement. To get to your question, I agree completely with Aubrey and Chris on the president's trip, highlighting some of these things that have happened in Kenya is going to be a big thing. And if you read